questions? No, in which case it gives me great pleasure to call on Hugh to open the case for the proposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. What are we doing on side proposition? We know what we're doing. And what we're doing is as follows. We think that every country should ban missionary work. We think that as a part of this policy, Israel should ban missionary work. There will be some bits of my speech that refer to Israel. I think what's really important in a debate like this is the principle. Yeah, let's go with that. So I'm going to talk about three things, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, religion. The first two will be quite brief, the third will be quite long. The first thing is a discussion of why religion is important to the state and why you might regulate it. That's going to take like 30 seconds. The second thing is a discussion of what we think the status quo in Israel might be a bit like. And thirdly, I'm going to talk about why we should ban missionary work. So, thing number one. We think religion is incredibly important to states, in the modern world and like in the past. But the modern world is more complicated. For better or for worse, a huge amount of people's moral framework, a huge amount of how people define themselves as human beings and their relations with other people, and a key part in what defines whether or not people are loyal to a state is religious. Therefore, we think it is very much in the interest of states to take some sort of interest in how religions are run, how religions work, and what religious beliefs people have. I think this is analogous to the regulation of political speech, the regulation of political parties, and we're fine with it. That's point one done. Point number two, the status quo in Israel right now. I think the status quo in Israel right now is that most missionary work is banned, but some missionary work is allowed. We think in particular missionary work from certain Jewish faiths are allowed. We think this is fundamentally unjust. We think it's wrong that some people should be allowed to take part in missionary work and some shouldn't. We think it's also likely to stir up tensions if some people are allowed to do these sorts of things and other people aren't. Therefore, we're in favour of changing the status quo. No, thank you. But whatever the status quo is, we know what we want the final solution to be. Missionary work never takes place, a world in which there is no missionary work. And I'm going to give you 4 reasons for that within my third point. Firstly, it is discriminatory. And we think that missionary work involves going into other faiths, moving among them and trying to convert other people to your faith. Missionary work is characterized by things like teaching, by things like engagement in charity. We think missionary work is discriminatory against several types of religion. Firstly, it is discriminatory against those forms of religion which do not possess the financial resources to fund missionaries. It means like, this is why the vast majority of missionaries in Africa are from ridiculously overfunded American Christian churches. So this is the first sense in which missionary work may discriminate. The second sense is that it discriminates against those religions which don't like to convert people, for example, Judaism. Why is it a problem that missionary work be discriminatory? We tell you very simply that what this allows is for large entrenched religions to further entrench their dominance within countries. Given the extent to which religion can be used as a means to discriminate against people, given the extent to which religion can be used as a means to capture politics and to bring in laws that favour one religion over another, an example of this would be Ireland, where a lot of laws on moral issues were tailored to a particularly Catholic conception of what was right and wrong as opposed to some sort of general, like, secular conception. We think it's wrong to allow, yeah, it is true, Derek. We think it's wrong to allow for one religion to entrench itself in this way as a result of its financial advantage. So.
If then religion is so important to a state, wouldn't the state have the right to choose which religion they would want to be able to entrench within their society, or their voters be able to pick which government they wanted to entrench?
No, but the point is, sir, that the people who aren't part of the religion that's getting entrenched are going to have to deal with the result of that religion being entrenched. They're going to have to deal with the increased likelihood of being discriminated against. They're going to have to deal with the increased likelihood of being marginalized and forgotten about by the entrenched larger religion. We think that's a problem for them and one we want to avoid. The second reason why we think missionary work is problematic is that it's very likely to stir up religious tensions. A lot of people care a lot about the religion that they have. They see it as the meaning of their life, they see it as the basis for right and wrong. And they don't like being told by some guy who's flown in like a helicopter because he's really rich, that their faith is wrong, that they should convert to something else. We think missionary work, going in and telling people this sort of thing, makes people angry. No thank you. It makes people likely to use violence against people. It makes people less tolerant towards the religion that's trying to proselytize them if they are not converted. I think that's a massive problem, and again one which is very much in the interest of the state to stop. The third thing we tell you in terms of charity on a religious basis is that we think it's actually very exploitative to go up to poor people and give them food, give them other sort of basic human needs. No, thank you. On a religious basis. Again, religion is an incredibly important part of someone's life. We think it's something that, to a very large extent, defines them. And putting them in the position where, in some instances, they may even have to convert in order to receive charity, or at the very least allow for the validity of another religion, but that's something that's incredibly difficult for them, is a horrible choice to make anyone make. No, thank you. It's a situation where you may be forced between betraying what you believe in, betraying your God, feeling like you are in some sense unworthy, that you might even go to hell, and dying, and not being able to put food on the table for your children. This is not a choice which we think anyone should be forced to make. We think it's incredibly exploitative. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If protecting minority religions are so important, what about religions where missionary work is a key component of that religion? You're essentially discriminating against them too, therefore your argument fails.
Well, unfortunately, there are some components of religion which we do think are dangerous and we do want to ban. If human sacrifice were also a key component to a religion, we would be willing to ban it, despite the fact that it might be seen as in some sense discriminatory. I think the harms that we point out in terms of tensions, in terms of entrenching your own religion over other people, isn't something that you get to do just because it's your religion. And the last reason why we think missionary work is a basis for religion, or the last reason in my speech why we think missionary work as a basis for religion is harmful, is because it feeds extremism within that religion. We think the people most likely to go out to potentially dangerous places to spend huge amounts of their lives engaging in missionary work are the people who, by definition, are most zealous about their faith, and in particular most zealous in the belief that other people should be made to share that faith. I think that creates a very particular discourse, we'll say, a very particular discourse within religions, whereby these extremists become more and more important as missionary work becomes important. This makes religions more intolerant, caring more and more about trying to win over other people to their faith who may not want to, feeding exactly the sorts of tensions, exclusions, and all the other harms we've talked about. So, ladies and gentlemen, for all these reasons, I'm very, very happy to discuss. Thank you.